Welcome once again, folks, to the podcast, to excel all podcasts. We have Loren Hodl. He is a Bitcoin extraordinaire with depth of knowledge. I love chatting with Loren to find out what's happening in his world. I see him every day in the Twitter sphere, poking the bear a little bit. Always has some good comment to make. He retweets some really great stuff. So I really appreciate Loren Hodl in the Twitter sphere. And so I'm Alan Jackson with Pursuing Freedom in the never-ending pursuit to promote Bitcoin, share financial freedom with people through Bitcoin. And we have a lot of fun in this space. Exactly. So, Loren, tell me, what is happening in your world these days?
Well, we've kind of had the beef initiative theme with our local plebs. I know we've talked about it in our meetups. We've had the podcast. I think you were out of town then. We had the pod with Texas Slim, which was short and sweet, but really invigorating, and it really jacked up a lot of the local plebs. So that's been going on. I was actually fiat mining and trying to plan a trip or at the last minute to get out of town just to blow some steam off. So we're going to go nurse a couple free drinks in Reno. So I was messing around with my phone trying to get a casino's number, and in the mix somehow I had dialed Texas Slim. I had his number in there from the podcast we had done.
That's funny.
And I was like, I quickly was hitting no. And so I hung up, and like 10 minutes later, Slim called me back, and he was just like, "What's up, man? Like you rang." And it was hilarious. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I dialed you." But half an hour later, we got to the point where we are planning for him to come out here to Northern California. We're going to try to rally some troops here, probably at the Palomino Room, a local cowboy bar hangout place in Red Bluff that one of my buddies owns. And Alan has graciously offered to host him. And so hopefully,
That'd be a real treat.
yeah, Slim is super busy right now, but this is 80% going to happen, and we're going to just lay the rest of the foundation. So that was pretty exciting the last few days. One of the events that's been going on here while you've been out flying people around. I think I'm going to change your name, though. No longer Bitcoin Jesus, because that might be a little sacrilegious. So I'm going to call you Bitcoin Superman, because you fly around like Superman and deliver hope and the future of value exchange to humanity. So you are now Bitcoin Superman.
Officially christened Superman. That's pretty interesting there. But it's interesting because people need Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just like Superman shows up in the nick of time to save the world.
That's right.
So I think, but we have a big team. We have a big, broad team. We're all interested in saving the world, one person at a time. I'm amazed with the technology in the whole Bitcoin atmosphere. You know, I was listening to one of the, I think it was Cafe Bitcoin with Swan. They had a guy on there that it's something about, you have these big nuclear reactor plants. Well, they're going small scale. So on a very small scale, you can have multiple nuclear reactor plants that also can be mining Bitcoin. And he's Canadian, so the Canadians really have their act together as far as the nuclear program and the technology. And I think he works with this big nuclear facility. So it was very fascinating to hear him speak.
Yeah, for
on
sure.
the podcast.
Yeah, we don't.
So go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the whole energy FUD thing is insane. I love where nuclear is going. The biggest problem is where people live, the major metropolis areas where we have a huge center of people. We bleed tons of electricity off all over we waste more electricity than we use. So it's not a question of wasting electricity. Most of it just gets shorted right into the ground. It's a question of utilizing it at its source, which Bitcoin can do. And there's really not much else that can do that, because we need to utilize it for humanity to heat them and blah, 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 blah. So I don't even know why the energy FUD is even an issue, but I love nuclear, and I love where, that's the future as far as we can see it right now at this present time. So, I definitely agree with you there. The smaller little reactors and where things are going with fusion, and it's an exciting half a century ahead of us if humanity stays on track and doesn't destroy itself with stupidity or nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I think a lot of the energy discussion is just a red herring to get you off what Bitcoin's doing, and it's not really a valid argument. You look at like the folks down at Bitcoin Lake, Guatemala, where they're
Yep.
going to be taking all this waste, i.e., green waste and also
Mm-hmm.
human waste, and they'll be processing that in methane gas and mine Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they're actually going to pay people to bring their human waste to deposit it, and as opposed to letting it flow into the lake, which really dirties the lake. So, and there are so many fronts where this is amazing
Mm-hmm.
technology is happening,
Yeah.
changing people's lives in the real sense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about changing people's lives, when I talk to people, I tell them, man, Bitcoin changes lives. And I get so excited. But I decided to change my label. Yes, change is a very neutral word. Could be good, could be bad. I'm going to start saying Bitcoin improves people's lives all over the
Ah,
world,
yeah.
because that's a much more positive direction, improves. And then when you tell them some stories on how lives are being improved by Bitcoin, it really seems to take on a better approach, I think. What do you
For
think?
sure. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. We have about 4 bunny trails open right now because I definitely
Yeah, this
I
is true.
definitely wouldn't mind talking about the beef initiative a little bit more. I definitely
Let's
like
do
where
it.
you're going there. I like all the different kinds of FUD because new FUD is coming out all the time. I was listening to a podcast today where they're talking about, regulatory it's regulation, fear of. It's the fear that gets people. It's not the actual regulations. People don't realize that you can choose to. That's one of the beautiful things about Bitcoin, and one of the things that I like the most is the sovereign aspect, where you can just say no, and you don't have to say it in a disrespectful manner. You can just say no, I'm opting out. I'm not going to jump through all your regulatory hoops when you say you want to steal from me and steal my value. I'm going to say no. um I can't remember which podcast it was, but I'm going to just take another right turn. One day we need to just go through the whole list of all of the use cases for Bitcoin, and maybe we can each for ourselves maybe list them in where we think the priority is. I think somebody said there's like 20 something, actual, like from sovereignty to insurance to money to I mean there's a long list. I could rattle it all off, but so many aspects of it, like even the monetary aspect. I oftentimes have thought, oh, that's not for us here in the first world in America, blah blah blah, but it really is, and that's another thing, like the beef initiative. We can cut out all this insanity and regulation and just go, you know what? He has a product and they want the product, and we can just go use Bitcoin as a monetary unit and just bypass all the insanity and just make it happen. And we can bypass the extra 3% that this place is going to charge and blah, 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 and all the red tape and the paper trail and everything in between, and remain sovereign in the process.
Exactly.
So getting back to the beef initiative, which is one of the topics, I'd given it a lot of thought even since talking to Slim, and it's kind of sad. I respect people's freedom and to choose for themselves what they eat. If they want to drink soda pop all day and eat candy and cake, that is fine. That is part of living in this country or anywhere that freedom reigns, and I want to keep it that way. But conversely, if somebody wants to eat a good steak or not have all this extra crap additives in their food and blah blah blah, they should be able to be free to obtain that as well. And I think that a lot of ranchers have been getting the short end of the stick. When I was, well, let's just say 30 plus years ago, I was a little bit familiar with a little bit more familiar than I am now with the beef industry. And a cow, the average size, fully raised adult cow was like about 2 grand. And to my recollection, and when I've done a little bit of research lately, it's about what it is still. And it's like, the prices of feed and fuel and blah 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 blah, tractors and building things, and it's all gone up. And I almost think that the farmers are really, and the ranchers are really getting the short end of the stick here. And I think that this beef initiative, if it's rolled out right, I think it can really be a win-win for both freedom of the consumer, where they want to choose what they eat and they want a great product from a local rancher that's fresh and doesn't have all this crap in it. And the farmer and the rancher will both have the ability to sell directly to them and be sovereign about it. Like, I love it. I love the whole concept. I love going back to our roots as far as Americans go, and cowboys, and you spit on your palm and shake the man's hand, and that's your word. Like, it's
Right,
truth.
right.
It's a lot of what Bitcoin is. It's not to say that if you don't eat beef you're not a Bitcoiner, blah 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 blah. That's a bunch of BS. It's about freedom. And
No,
I
you're
think
exactly right.
as you learn and grow more, like, you want to be more healthy, and you want to exercise, and you want to eat right. And it's not a question of like, oh, screw you, you're not one of us because you don't do this thing. It's like, it's just kind of a path that, when you start heading a certain direction, you just gravitate more towards healthier, good, positive, wonderful, meaningful things. And it's not like the hopelessness starts leaving your body, and you start to want to thrive and survive, and hope and love and all the good things start coming in your life. And so a
Right.
big juicy steak sounds amazing.
It
But
does.
that's
You're
not to
making me
say, if
salivate.
yeah, if somebody wants to go off and you know load up on sugar, that's fine. I love
Right.
America. We can still do that. So
I was out on my lawnmower yesterday with my headsets on,
nice.
listening to your podcast,
uh,
right? It was great. And here's Texas Slim, and you guys spoke more about the quality of food than you talked about Bitcoin. I
yeah,
liked his approach. I mean,
for sure.
get to know your rancher,
Yep.
learn some things from your rancher, show interest in what he has.
Yep.
And maybe Bitcoin comes along, maybe not. I mean, first conversation, who knows? But I thought it was a great conversation, that the concentration, while a lot of the impetus that drives him is
Yeah.
the food, the quality of
Right.
food that we can eat in America, if
Yep.
we start getting back to healthy farming. And the farmers these days don't have, they've had terrible guidance here, just to hear Texas Slim's desire to improve the food, not only in
hmm
America. He wants to go international.
Yeah.
um, and he's quite a voice to reckon with. He's driven to make the world a better place.
Yeah, no,
That was
that's
awesome.
I 100% agree. And I think he, better than, any of us around here, would know better how to approach, the typical rancher, since that's his roots, that's who he is, that's where he came from. So I think for sure we need to listen to him and not try to be jamming orange pills down ranchers' throats, but instead shake their hand and just get to know them. And eventually, I'm even thinking of my journey in Bitcoin Landia, where I started out as speculation, and then from there, after a series of shitting your pants while watching these crashes and playing with shit coins and da 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 da, before I really like took a lot of time to actually dig deep. So I can't imagine for a rancher or your typical, older person, like you've done well yourself. And they even throw people my age under the bus by saying that, we're, I guess, technology is tough for us to comprehend. But I think trying to shove this into a farmer's face and just, say, oh, it wouldn't be a great idea, because I don't think that they want to, they don't want to deal with all this fangle dangle insanity. But if we are able to build that relationship and able to phase it as like, oh yeah, hey, this is a way that we actually exchange value. This is just a token that we use to trade. And then maybe, like, it took me 3 years or 4 years to figure out that Bitcoin is a revolution. And a lot of these guys know that money is, if you ask them the question, like, what runs the world, what runs politics, what's the most corrupt thing in the world, They will answer money, 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 the love of money, blah, 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 money. 90% of people know that, but they don't know it. And then they don't know that probably the only thing I can see that we can fight that is the Bitcoin revolution. And I think that that will be a concept that they'll learn down the road as they ease into this thing. But if we throw that up there right out of the gate and be like, hey, you need to like get on the Bitcoin standard right now, opt out of the shit system and opt over here because you can fight the man this way, they're stomping you down, which is all true. Because it seems like there's not, like you said, they've been the kind of the redheaded stepchild of a lot of industry because it's not the powers that be aren't looking to, their direction is more like ground up bugs and alternative synthetic things and not good wholesome things that we were raised on. And so as a result, the rancher has been bypassed. They're look the other way, and so they know it. They're not getting all the help they need, especially in our area where there's droughts and there's other feed issues and high fuel, and they're not getting any help at all from government entities or otherwise. In fact, it's what I've heard is there's a lot of them that are trying to throw the towel in and go, I can't do this anymore because even though I love it, if I can't even make money at it, this is stupid. I don't love it enough to donate
Right.
my time to it. I can't afford it. So,
I think at least up here in Northern California, we may have more of a rural awareness of the
right.
rancher, the farmer. We see
Yeah.
cows, but think of all those poor city slicker, those kids that have no idea where eggs come from. I
Right.
mean, I laugh. I think that's
Yeah.
partially true, not all true, but they truly are separated. You don't think
Mm-hmm.
twice. You go to the grocery store, you buy a thing of chicken. They have no
Yep.
idea what it takes to
Yeah.
process a chicken. Um, so it'll be great when we go see some cows this Sunday with you
Mm-hmm.
and Jed and your boys, and it'll just be kind of fun to
Yeah.
go out to the ranch and
Yeah.
talk to an old timer. I've
Matt
actually had
wants
a
to
chance to go ahead.
Matt wants to come along on that one too.
Yeah, perfect. I said,
Yeah.
come along, that'd be great.
Yeah. I agree.
Just to get back, I mean, I love getting out on the farm. This I've known this
Mm-hmm.
gentleman now for probably 20 years,
Yep.
and I've been out there helping him when he's rounded up his cows to do the branding and the cutting and all those things you do once a
Yeah.
year. And it's a real hoots, right? It's a lot of fun. But
Mm-hmm.
you'll like him. He's a great guy.
Sweet.
So, but yeah, it'd be nice to chat with him, and I'd really be curious over get his thinking how the markets have changed as far as
For sure.
now there's less places to sell your stock, so he's
Mm-hmm.
having to drive further to an auction to get rid of his
Yeah.
cows. There
Yeah.
used to be a local livestock auction here in nearby, and
Yeah.
I would love to go to the auction, watch the cow sales. I used
Mm-hmm.
to sell some goats, watch the goat sales, but
Mm-hmm.
those options are dwindling down, and now
Yeah,
there's
they
more
are.
online auctions. So the
Yep.
technology's come along, but it'll be great to get his perspective and what he has seen change over the decades.
Yeah, for sure. No, I luckily I was exposed to a lot of that as a child growing up in Canada. We were hunters, so we would, go shoot deer and moose and then, butcher them and freeze them. And then the same with cattle and farm animals. We were, you know, in the part of the whole process from an early age where we were in there with a knife, cutting roasts and cutting steaks and, right from the 22 between the eye to sticking them in the neck, watching the whole process because it's a fact of life. And I think that our current society in this, particularly countries like, the US and Canada and whatnot, have a tendency to want to shield uh, reality, even though it's a harsh, bitter reality, but it's still a reality of where this stuff comes from, like you said, from people and youth and everything else. But it's where food comes from, and it feels like they want to make a corner and say, oh no, we're not this as humanity. This is, inhumane and da 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 da. But in actuality, it's still the best stuff you can eat. And I know
Yeah,
science has changed and blah blah blah. It's hard to get real definitions and stuff anymore. But if you get a good old steak, you're going to get more nutrients out of that than you are a whole wheelbarrow full of greens. So
right. And it'll be nice to get Stan's perspective. I mean, perspective's a very interesting thing.
for sure.
About 3 weeks ago, I was in Spain and I was talking to the gentleman, and we're talking about the bull rings, the bullfights, and
Oh
they're pretty
yeah.
popular still in Spain.
Yep.
And here people say, "Oh, those bullfights, they're so terrible. That poor
Yeah.
bull is, brutally killed the last day of his life."
Mm-hmm.
And it was pointed out, well, that bull has lived the best life many
Mm-hmm.
times. They keep those bulls with zero human interaction their whole life until that one day when they're corralled up, taken off to a bullfight. And yes, they have a cruel death. But when you consider all the other cows that are in these grain yards,
Mm-hmm.
they have this miserable life, and then they get euthanized more easily. So
Yep.
what would you rather be? Would you rather be the bull that has this great life all your life and then taken out on had one bad day, or would you rather be this
One bad
cow
day.
that's this cow that has suffered in these feedlots and their cramped quarters? I
Yeah.
mean, I think I'd go the bull route.
Well, yeah. I mean, it goes to the whole like how close are humans and animals when it comes to your soul or your mind, will, and emotions, and
Right,
and to another realm of yeah, we get it. I don't like to see animals suffer, bloody, bloody, blah. But like you said, it's perspective. And it's like we've all had, dogs and cats that we swear have, personality. And you're like, what are you thinking in under all that fur and four legs in there? And because they feel like somewhat human at times when they're looking you in the eyeballs and they're doing what you say. But they're animals,
right,
and at the end of the day, and like you talk about gore, like go out and really study animals. I mean, their lives are uh terror. Like they'll look at mountain goats up in the hills that butt the hell out of each other's heads, and other ones that the safari life where tigers are you know shredding the hell out of deer to it's just life. It's a circle of life, and it's a fact, and
right,
it's been happening for God only knows how many thousands of millions of years. It's just life, and we're not going to change it because we're
right.
going
Well,
to,
it'll be great to have Texas Slim come to California.
for sure.
You start
Yep.
off reading about the Texas Beef Initiative. And the next
Mm-hmm.
thing you know, he's gone to Tennessee, Nashville, and
Yep.
there's the Tennessee Beef Initiative. And
Yes.
then the next thing you know, you read about the Missouri Beef Initiative.
Uh-huh.
He's out there in Missouri farmers having these workshops. And then there's
Yeah.
the Eastern, Southeastern Colorado Beef Initiative.
Yep.
And so I know he'd love to get to
Australia is going to
California,
be next,
maybe.
and then we'll try to get Northern California on board. So I want to pick his brain too about how shipping and stuff goes, because I wouldn't be surprised if it is um you wouldn't want to ship product cross country or anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's more of a radius of a certain zone within how far you live away from a producer. So if we can get some
Right,
people signed up around here, maybe we can ship to Southern Oregon and down to Central California, and maybe out to Reno and whatnot, and then just have a nice ring of where a local person could ship from here. And I racked my brain, and I actually have some contacts with a bunch more people that I completely forgot are part of the community of ranchers. I know really good friends with uh, Randy Brooks, who's a really good cutting horse guy, and he's somewhat famous in those circles. And my buddy Carlos that owns the Palomino Room, he owns the Buck and Bulls, and he does the rodeo stuff. He even hosts a rodeo out there. And so I was just thinking about my own, and then people that I've encountered even when I'm on the coast, and those beef over there are just amazing. They're so happy eating all that big, tall, luscious grass that's year round over there. It's always
right. That's
green.
nice.
They're delicious, man. They are so tasty. So,
Well, I noticed there's a fellow on Twitter up in Wyoming that raises bison or buffalo,
oh,
and
okay.
now he's
Yeah.
promoting, hey, come buy some bison buffalo. I'll even ship that. I might even bring it to you if you're not too far away, and you can pay in Bitcoin. So
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah.
it's very cool to see people in the space that realize the value of beef,
Yes.
realize the desire for people to have good food.
Yeah. And take it to, you know, connecting people with farm fresh other stuff too, eggs, chicken, like you used to raise goats, lamb, whatever
Right.
people want, being able to connect them with that local supply chain, of the fresh.
Well, I think we need a new mindset
Yeah,
across America. The whole
for
food
sure.
industry needs a new mindset,
I
a fresh
100%
mindset.
agree. Yep, yep, for sure.
But
So, we the
is
local.
your
Go ahead.
do you have your video up still? I don't see you. You
Yeah,
see?
I'm here.
Okay, no
Um,
worries. Go
the
ahead.
the local Bitcoin crew has been organized by Bitcoin Superman himself, Alan Jackson, who's frozen right now, to go to a restaurant tonight and have there you back. You got kryptonite behind you. It's green.
Yeah, Superman. You know,
Stay away
kryptonite.
from that stuff. Anyway, I was saying while you froze there that you had organized all of us local plebs, as many as wanted to come, and now it looks like there's going to be like 25 people to go to a local restaurant that is going to accept Bitcoin or has been and does, thanks to you.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a nice meal all together in not that long, like hour and a half or something. So we're going to be looking
And
forward to that.
we have some new people coming,
Oh
so it'll be
boy.
a great introduction to our group. I'm
Nice.
excited.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on. One of our members wants to get involved more with this beef initiative. Did he send you a message? I'll forward the message he sent to me too.
Did he send it to maybe our group? But yeah, that'd be nice
Maybe.
message.
Yeah, I'll forward it to you
Okay.
because I would like to get him on and then we can get his backstory and then have him come in periodically. I'd also like to send out a message maybe on our pleb group again and just say, hey, we want to have some local plebs pop in on these once in a while, give their story and, throw their feedback in too, because we got a lot of
For
brilliant
sure.
minds even in our local group here. So hopefully we can lasso some of those guys in. I wouldn't mind getting Mount Man on here and maybe a couple of our nurse buddies that are come to the events and a couple other
Right.
people. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Hey,
So
Loren, it's great seeing
always,
you today. I'll see you in a short time. We'll have a nice
indeed,
meal.
that sounds great.
Great company, great conversation.
Yeah.
And thanks again. So from Loren Hodl of Twitter fame to Alan Jackson of Pursuing Freedom, it's been great chatting. And we'll catch you guys next time.
On the flip side, take care, everybody.